Hey internet folks, welcome back to the channel. This is Jason. Gonna rant a little bit today about the number one thing, in my unscientific opinion, that causes people to be poor in America, and that is your car. So if you've been a member of my channel for a while, you know that I have ahedonia when it comes to making large purchases, meaning I get zero pleasure whatsoever out of buying new things. And honestly, I think that is one of the things that drives continual car purchases in the US. I was reading somewhere recently that the average lifetime of a car in the United States is only 8 years, which kind of blows my mind. So I have bought exactly one new car for myself in my lifetime and one new car for my wife in her lifetime. After my initial new car purchase, when I was very, very young, I never bought a new car again. I only bought used cars. So I've probably spent less money on cars, and maintenance included, than any American male my age. That's a bit of an exaggeration. I'm sure there's somebody who only takes subways or something like that, or public transportation, who spent less. But as someone who drives all the time, I don't really spend any money on my vehicles. But I just recently purchased another used vehicle, and I want to talk about that right now. I like my vehicles to cost me $1,000 a year, meaning that if I spend $5,000 on a car and then immediately spend $1,000 in maintenance or upgrades on the vehicle once I purchase it, that vehicle needs to last me for 6 years for me to feel like it's worth it. And so far, since I've been 24 years old or so, that has been the case. I've sort of won on that strategy that I've had. It's coming to the point where it's a little bit more difficult to do that. That $1,000 a year probably isn't going to cut it anymore, and you're going to have to raise that estimate a little bit. But let's talk about my current situation right now. I bought a used 2009 Ford Escape Hybrid in 2020 when my other car broke down, which was a 2001 Nissan Xterra. Love that Nissan Xterra, but it broke down. It was a cooling issue. It was overheating. I absolutely did not want to get back into that vehicle and start digging around in it and trying to figure out what was wrong with it. I've since fixed it, but that's not the point. The point was I bought this $5,000 vehicle mainly because I'd never owned a hybrid before, and I kind of wanted to see what it was like. It's been a mostly trouble-free vehicle. There was one issue with it in terms of the fuel throttle assembly that cost $200, and then I've done regular oil changes and have replaced the tires, and that's just about it. That's the only maintenance that I've done on this vehicle in the last 5 years or so. But what is happening now is that hybrid battery is dying. So to replace the hybrid battery through Ford, it would cost about $10,000. In my area, there are no hybrid battery specialists who do rebuilds who will work on the Ford Escape. They'll work on all the Toyota Priuses you want, but they will not work on a Ford Escape. So this car is basically toast. It's worth nothing in the private market, but I can turn it into the state for somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500. California has this great program where you can take junkers and just turn them into the state, and they'll write you a check on the spot. So it's pretty amazing. But if you are out there looking for a new car because yours has suddenly become unreliable, it's about to die, I'm going to tell you right now, there are very few options out there for you in terms of a great, reliable vehicle that you aren't going to spend a ton of money maintaining. And really, at some point, you really have to say to yourself, there just isn't a reason not to buy a used Toyota. Even though in the used Toyota market, you're paying that Toyota tax, meaning it's a lot more expensive than anything else that's used in the market. You can see that when you look at the prices of Toyota Tacomas or Toyota 4Runners or Sequoias, or even a small car like a Toyota Matrix is going to be a little bit more expensive, or in some cases a lot more expensive than the competitive vehicles in that class in the same time period. I'm telling you right now, it's absolutely worth it. There are very few vehicles on the market right now where you can get 500,000 miles out of that vehicle before it falls apart. And Toyota is pretty much one of the only ones that's out there. Now, I know somebody's going to make some comments out there saying how wonderful and reliable their vehicle is. You don't know how reliable it is until you put 300, 400, 500,000 miles on that car. Very few vehicles are out there where you can do that. The Toyota Tacoma is one of those, especially some of those older models. A Toyota 4Runner is the same way. I just purchased another Nissan Xterra, had 160,000 miles on it. with regular maintenance and the fact that I know what those issues are, I know that this vehicle is going to get roughly 300,000 miles on it before I'm ready to get rid of it. So I bought that car. It's a 2008 Nissan Xterra for $4,000 from a Marine here in San Diego who's a master gunnery sergeant. Great interaction, great guy. He owned like 6 cars, was looking to get rid of this one because he didn't do the off-roading that he was planning to do with his son. Those plans just kind of never came to fruition. But anyway, it was a great purchase in terms of dollar amount, in terms of initial maintenance. There are a few things that I want to do to it, but that car means I don't have a car payment. The thing that I hated the most about owning my first new car was being trapped under that car payment, especially when I got laid off. Not 6 months after I bought that car, I got laid off from Arthur Anderson or Anderson Consulting. I don't remember which one, but I got laid off in that time period, and then I still had to make that nut every month. And that South Park episode, I'm just thinking of that right now, making that, he's got a nut to make. But it wasn't a huge car payment back then, but it was enough of a sting for me to learn the lesson about being trapped under financial obligations. I've arranged my life because of that one lesson to have as few financial obligations that are not covered by an income source as possible. And to me, that's really been the route to financial freedom. I've never made tons of money. I've just made sure that my income was more than my expenses. I've made sure that when I took on a new expense, there was a way to pay for it with an income source of some sort, meaning I have a rental property now that pays, half the mortgage on my home. I only have to work basically, to earn about $1,200 a month to make the rest of my mortgage. And this is here in Southern California. The rental property is essentially paid off at this point, just a few $1,000s left on it. But the idea is that one expense that I could control rather easily, you could take basically a year's worth of payments on a new car and go out and buy a really incredible used car that's going to last you for another 100, 200,000 miles. And there's a few of them out there that will last you up to 500,000 miles. If you've ever seen a Toyota Hilux outside of the United States, and some of these vehicles have 500,000 miles on there, on that vehicle, and the only thing these people really do is oil changes, you know about the quality of Toyotas. Guys, I'm not paid by Toyota or anything like that. And actually, the only Toyota that I own right now is a Toyota minivan, which, by the way, I think the Toyota Sienna is probably it's not the car that I prefer, but it's probably the best vehicle that I've ever purchased. I've done nothing but oil changes and regular maintenance, changing out a few belts, changing out a few hoses preemptively before anything started. 0 problems in 14 years in this vehicle. So you can go out and buy a used one right now at a severe discount. If it comes with maintenance records, that's even better. But this is one of those ways to control your expenses as we possibly head into a period where there's a lot more economic uncertainty. And I think there's going to be a lot more economic uncertainty. I say this a lot, but I've seen the credit markets deteriorating now for roughly 3 years. And I think that we're kind of reaching ahead right now because of what tariffs has done to push inflation expenses higher. It's finally going to depress consumer demand. I do think there are going to be layoffs in our future. I don't know how severe that's going to get. I'm not expecting 10% unemployment or something like that, but I am expecting it to be possibly higher than 6% sometime in the near future. So if you're looking for a way to replace your vehicle right now, looking to get rid of a car payment, consider buying a used vehicle from Toyota, 200,000 miles or something like that. You could probably easily get another 100,000 miles out of that for $6,000 to $8,000. And I think that's a great deal, considering that I was looking at, what it would cost to buy a new really nice truck to haul around a really big boat or something like that, a GMC with a large diesel engine in it. And it would be like $1,500 a month to own that. It's going to be more than $1,000 a month right now to buy a Tesla. It's going to be almost $800 a month right now just to buy, a brand new Toyota Camry. Whereas you could probably buy a 15-year-old used one for $8,000, and it's going to last you for another 10 years. Anyway, guys, Thank you very much for your time today. Just my rant. Feel free to tell me how wrong I am in the comments below, and how whatever used car you bought was amazing. If you tell me it's a Chevy, I'm just not going to believe you unless it's a Chevy Silverado. Anyway, thank you very much and have a nice day.